Welcome to Squatch on Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, it's happening June 30th to July 1st in Fishersville, Virginia at the Augusta Expo, ECBRO's first annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. You don't want to miss it. Tonight, we got my co-host, Mr. Zach Starrick, all the way from Southern Illinois, founder of the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters, Mr. Zach Starrick. And we got a special guest with us, Mr. Ernest Solar. All right, welcome to Squatch on Radio. And there's that radio voice I promised you, Zach. Maybe not as much. I'm still trying to wake up because my daughter didn't wake me up in time.
Kids today.
Yeah, I was dozed off. I was knocked out, though, because I've had a lot of running around today. Now, I had my share of being out in the sun today, so I know you got burned up. You look like a half lobster.
Oh, my God. I hate being Irish sometimes. I burn so quick.
Oh, man. Well, with me, I have there's the Italian side of us, and then, of course, then I got the Irish side. My mom's, I got some of the, I don't know, I'm glad I don't have all mom's side because, she's, got the very fair skin, she's a redhead, and so, so I got, I feel like I picked up a lot of dad's side, the Italian side, and so, and then, of course, you got the French side, the Italian and French mix here, and going into the pale side, so, but it works out pretty good. I got a nice tan going on, so, but,
Oh, I don't got a tan. I look like a frickin' Oompa Loompa right now.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I saw the picture you posted there. So you're half red and half white.
Yeah, I know. Put me blue and slide me up a flagpole.
You did the selfie of you standing in the bathroom with a can of what is it, Glade or something, some air freshener in front of you. Yeah, everybody said, no wonder why you burned up. Look what you're using for sun lotion.
No, I'll be honest with you. No kind of sunscreen, no matter what SPF, whatchamadoodle number it is, it don't work for me. My skin just absorbs it and doesn't have full effect. I don't care what I try. I'm just probably just going to end up getting melanoma and skin cancer by the time I'm 30. But it's one of the perks of being a farmer. You get a nice tan on.
Oh man, you know what? Where's my chat? I'm working on opening up my chat room right now. By the way, oh wait a minute, here it comes. It's finally opening up. All right. Yeah, because I always give the chat room a few minutes to open up, allow everybody time to get logged into the chat room. Usually. It doesn't take long. Usually we get a pretty full room here on the chat room. Usually I know we have there's always 2 or 3 regulars that love to get in the chat room. Flycatch and Digger Dog. Bob.
Good evening to you, gentlemen.
Yeah, they'll be, they should be around here. I know we got Facebook listeners. A lot of people listen in through the Facebook links that I share. And so, a lot of people, I'm sure there's some that are already listening, and I do want to throw it out there. A lot of people ask where the live chat is. Right offhand, thinking about it, right offhand, if you're listening, it's normally probably below. You got to. I can't think of it right offhand from coming from the listener's viewpoint. So basically, if you're already listening, just scroll around, kind of explore through the link that you're, where the play link's at where you're listening. It's usually pretty much below where you're listening. A lot of times that's where the chats are. Some people have trouble finding the chat. If you have problems finding the chat, I get a lot of people that will interact through Facebook directly. They'll comment under the link, or they'll send me a message on Facebook. And these are people that are listening, but that want to interact. And I'm going to remind everybody so far into the show about what I'm about to announce, to give everybody a heads up that tonight they will have a chance to win 2 free tickets. And Zach, thanks to you and Jen Cruz, you guys both gave me 2 questions, 2 trivia questions. So that's how this is going to happen. We're going to have trivia. And so we're going to go about, I'm not sure when I'm going to ask both trivia questions. I don't know if I should ask them together or how that should go about. But yeah, we're going to do a trivia tonight. So what's that, Zach?
Oh, it's my phone buzzing.
Oh, okay. I thought you had said so.
I was going to say, I'll go ahead and ask my trivia question right off the bat, and then halfway through the show, you go ahead and ask Jen's question. How's that sound?
All right. We'll do it like this. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We'll give somebody a chance to win a set of tickets this way for the first hour. And then, when we go into our, about 2-3 minutes, our little break that we have, we'll ask it again when we return. And hold on, Jen just actually messaged me right now. Hold on, I don't know if she must be listening or what. Give me a second. All right.
And trust me, folks, my questions are real brain picker. It'll make you pick your brain really good.
Now, Jen came up with good. Oh, she was just saying that she's listening. Okay. Very cool. All right. So, that's the thing. There's people not going to show up in the live chat, but we always got people listening. And plus, there's people on the Blog Talk platform. And don't be surprised, we may get some crazy call-ins like we did that one night. So.
Oh no.
Well, that's the chance we're gonna have to take. If we get calls tonight, who knows? It's gonna be unpredictable. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll get some. Anyway, I tell you what. Enough chit chatting. Let me get down into this. We're gonna bring on our guest. We're gonna bring him in, and I'm so excited to have him on here. And let's really get down to talking some Bigfoot. Tonight we have Mr. Ernest Solar with us, and Ernest, it is such a pleasure to have you on here tonight. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Zach.
Awesome.
Howdy.
And and I'm sorry for you. We talk sometimes crazy in the beginning. We talk about kind of get a few things off our chest, and so that's our little introduction. Ernest, what was it, about a year ago? Almost a year ago, we me and you actually met for the first time, and which I thought was awesome. Down at Chaos Mountain Brewing Company here in Roanoke, and
it was back in October.
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
Back in October.
Very awesome. Yeah, that was it was pretty cool. Again, getting to meet you, and the place where we met was actually very cool too. I need to get back down there.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, that place was phenomenal.
Yeah. Now I don't know if you heard. I don't know if you heard. You know, they were confirmed. They were a confirmed vendor at our event, and something recently happened. I had made the announcement the other day, and it was a big disappointment. This is not coming from them. This is coming from the venue, and the venue said because of the number of people that we're expecting, which they said if it's 100 or more, which we're already expecting well over 200. If it's 100 or more, it's required. It's their rules that they require for us to have 2 security guards. Well, basically law enforcement, because they said it would have cost us $50 an hour for each. And so that kind of threw us out there. I was like, that's impossible for us to do. We have no one could afford that. And so yeah, that there's what put a stop there, because the Chaos Mountain Brewing Company, for them to obtain a permit, that was not an issue for them to do that. But and then recently they actually threw something else out at me here too, after something told me I better check on something else that they promised me too. So I'll get into that later. But yeah, Chaos Mountain Brewing Company, unfortunately, they will not be attending our event, and it's not their fault. It's something that, yeah, I was looking forward to having them. I know several others were too, and but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
welching on our bet, Daniel Benoit. You still owe me a beer.
Oh my goodness! Here we go.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be down there in August to be at Chaos Mountain Brewing again in August. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, Ernest. I know I do enough rambling on. I was wondering if you don't mind introducing yourself to the listeners. Kind of give us a little rundown about who you are, and everybody knows based off of the introduction of this show that you are a professor of a university, and if you want to kind of give us a little brief bio, and then we'll kind of run it in from there.
Sure. So for my day job, I'm a university professor of education at Mount St. Mary's University in Emmitsburg, Maryland. So that's what I do during the day for my professional career. On the side, I like to write, and I've authored a couple books, and I've authored several educational articles, and then at the same time, I also research Bigfoot, and I kind of tie it all in with my writing, so I can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Awesome. Now, one of your books, I'm familiar with one of them. I'm not familiar with the other. Spirit of Sasquatch. Now,
yes.
That there seems to be a good seller, and I was wondering if you would like to kind of give us what inspired that, or what, if you want to share with us what that's about.
Sure. Spirit of Sasquatch is actually my second book. It actually came about from a dream. I had a dream that my oldest son was skipping stones with a Sasquatch creature by the river, and then I woke up and I thought, hey, that might actually be a pretty good story, and so I started writing it. I didn't think that it would actually develop into a full novel, but it did, and I pulled in a lot of my own research and my own experiences to write the story. It probably took me about 6 months to write the book. But in general, it's about a young boy that gets kidnapped or rescued, depending how you look at it, by a Sasquatch creature, and he lives with a tribe of Sasquatch creatures for a number of years, and his father and his brother and the government are all looking for him, and then it all kind of comes together at the end. I I wrote it in such a way that if you've never experienced Bigfoot, or if you've never experienced the Bigfoot research world, you could actually learn something. But if you're an experienced researcher, you could read it and be like, oh, I've heard that, or I've experienced that, or yes, that's true. And so, I didn't want to write it, like I wanted to write it in a way that everybody could enjoy it and get something out of it.
Well, it's very interesting because Zach, you could fill me in on this. I can't think of it. I know I'm familiar with the story. There was an account where there was an individual who had claimed to have been, I want to say, kidnapped. Is that the right word, Zach? The one where he was the Sasquatch had him, and I think the only way he got loose is something about the Sasquatch ended up eating his tobacco supply and got sick real bad. Yeah, are you guys familiar with that one?
Yeah, I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't remember the story too. I remember about it, just not who shared it or where it originated from. But that might have been back in. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
His name is Albert Ostman, and it happened. When did it happen? I think it was like in the 50s.
Oh, in the 50s. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. 24. It happened in 1924.
Oh, okay, so the early 1900s. Okay.
Yeah. He was out mining, and he went away from his camp 2 or 3 days, and when he came back, something like messed with his camp, and then I think the third night, he woke up in the bottom of his sleeping bag because the Bigfoot was carrying him across the mountain range, and he took him into a valley, and he was in the valley with a male and a female and 2 young Sasquatch creatures for about a week, and the older male Sasquatch ate a can of tobacco and got sick, and then drank the coffee to try to kill the taste or whatever, and then that's when he was able to escape.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the encounter that did it for me growing up.
That was the one that got you hooked.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, definitely.
Yeah, that one there was just a later story. One of the later stories I learned later, but I don't know, that one there. I don't know what the right word to use. If the word intrigued, it was very fascinating. I don't know if if it's just a story or if that's something that really happened. I think John Green and Renee DeHenden actually spoke to him and spoke to him like 2 or 3 different times back in the 60s. And his story slightly changed each time that they spoke to him. But I think John Green believed them, but I don't think Renee DeHenden believed him, if I got that correct. Or maybe the other way around. Okay. Okay. Tell us about now. You've had a couple of experiences. What kind of experiences have you had?
Oh, that's a good question.
Put you on the spot now, Ernest.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. That's a good question. So, I'm trying to process and think. I've heard wood knocks. I've had something scream at me. I found a track line. I found a single print. When I was in Olympic National Forest, I think something ran up to my tent in the middle of the night. My wife and I saw a creature in New Mexico. I'm pretty sure I saw something in North Carolina last summer. I had some experiences in Colorado. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how detailed you want me to get with my stories.
As far you can get as detailed as far as you. I mean, whatever you feel comfortable sharing. We're very laid back. We're all open to anything. If you don't feel, if you don't have to hold back, more or less. You just we're very open. We hear everything. I mean, we probably have heard it. I don't care. I mean, so yeah. So if I feel it, share it the way you feel.
So when I was finishing up my dissertation, I asked my wife if she'd be interested in going on a Bigfoot expedition, and we were dating at the time, but I needed something to feel like I had accomplished. Once I finished my dissertation, I wanted like a prize, right? So we signed up to go on this BIgfoot expedition out in New Mexico, and the spot we were at was actually on the Finding Bigfoot show. It was like the season 1 or season 2. It was about a guy who is in the back of the truck with his girlfriend, and a Sasquatch walked past his truck.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was that same area. It was that same spot. And so it was our first time like officially going on an expedition, right? Like we've been believers. I've been a believer my whole life. My wife is from Northwest Pennsylvania, so like it's in their blood. Like that whole area like knows that Sasquatch is real and exists, and they see them, and like to them it's not a big deal.
Right.
Up in Northwest Pennsylvania, up in that area, there's a lot of activity, and so the people there just, accept it. So we go out to New Mexico. We meet wonderful people. We made some really good friends, and it was the last night that we were there. So it was Saturday night, and we picked this spot for this night expedition that was underneath a spruce tree, and directly across was a field, and then in front of us was a logging road, and one of the base camps was probably about like 100 yards to the south of us on the log. And as we were walking to this tree, it was about 8 o'clock at night, we heard whistles. And, so we were like, oh, okay, and our friend Ellen actually recorded the whistles. So we get to the tree, and when you look at the tree, it looks like the branches are touching the ground. And we crawl up underneath, and we could stand underneath this tree. And sticks had been stacked against the base of the tree like a chair, so you could like lean against it. And you had perfect view of this logging road, right? So you could see everybody coming and going, but no one could see you. And so we sat there for a couple hours, and I was looking to the north, Ellen was looking to the south, and my wife Christine was looking straight ahead. And if I remember her story correctly, she was looking at what she thought was a stump in the field. And she explains it of like when you're like laying in bed at night and you're looking at the spot in the ceiling and it moves, and you're like, did that really move? Or is that just my eyes playing a trick on me, right? And so she's watching this stump, and then all of a sudden the stump stood up.
Wow.
And she got a little nervous.
I would say so. I would too.
She used quite a few curse words. And then our friend Ellen saw it, and So I didn't actually see the one that stood up. But I had night vision goggles from the BFRO, and I was looking in that vicinity and direction, and I kept seeing this thing that's like head and shoulders peeking out from behind a tree further past the meadow. And so it kept it kept like going from side to side, but it was like peeking its head from like side to side. And, we like radioed base camp, and they sent a couple guys down with like heat therms and stuff like that. And through the like night vision goggles, I saw what looked like two massive tree trunks walking through the woods past the meadow. So it was just like, we're like, okay. And we stayed there a bit longer, and then we called it a night, and it was probably like about midnight at this point. So we go back to our base camp, and our friend Ellen was with her son, and we had the walkie-talkies on. And I'm not going to be brave. I'll be honest. We got in our car, and we took all of our like towels and like shoved it up in the windows so that nothing would like peek in at us. We're like, holy crap, right? So we're like laying in our car, and we have the walkie-talkie on, and we hear our friend Ellen's son Brandon go, "Can somebody come check? 'Cause something just hit our camper and Mom's freaking out." We were like, hell no, we're not getting out of the car. We're like, we're good, we'll stay right here. So yeah,
wow.
So that was always like one of the like fun nights. But then the crazy thing is, right, is we go back the next morning to that spot, and like at night, at night things look so different, and the distance is so different. And
right.
So we go to the tree, and we go to where the stump that stood up, and it was like maybe 50 yards, maybe 70 yards, but like we thought it was a lot further. And like the tree line behind the meadow was like 100 yards, and we were like, holy crap, we are that close. So, it kind of shook us a little bit, but, at the North Base camp, which was only like a 10-minute walk from where we were. So, they heard like movement in the trees and something like circling them, and I think if I remember correctly, somebody heard something run by, and they found a partial print. So like that all happened that same night. So it definitely fueled our passion. Definitely got us very excited. I mean, like there was other little things that happened on that trip. Another thing was, real quick, we went to this valley that was out of radio range, and we hiked in this valley because we like to go off by ourselves, because that's what we do. So we hike in this valley. We're there for a few hours. We stop and we eat. And my wife peels an orange so that the whole peel stays together. And she threw it out into the field where we were sitting. And then we actually took a nap. And we woke up a little bit later, and we like got our stuff, and we like left and didn't think any more of the orange peel, right? So then we get back to our campsite, and we had set up our tent and campsite in an area that was kind of secluded. So there was really like two ways in and like and out, and there was like this wall of briars, and that's where I would go like do my business. And so I go over to like take a piss, and I look down, and there's an orange peel peeled exactly the same way that my wife had just peeled it. and all of our other orange peels were in our trash bag, and our trash bag was all sealed up. I was like, Christine, what the hell is this? I was like,
wow,
where did this orange peel come from? So then, it just like made you wonder, like, were we being watched, and did he like, did something like drop it off just to be like, hey, I know where you're at. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, it was kind of like an odd feeling. But like, I mean, we have things like that happen to us all the time, and so it just kind of makes us wonder, like, whoa, wait a second, what's going on here? So
Now is this all part of the same trip, the same outing where you guys were experiencing, seeing what you guys were seeing?
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Now, from what it sounds like, you guys were observing one in the field, and then there was others you noticed that were behind it, peeking, going side to side by a tree.
Yeah. We're thinking that there was at least 2, maybe 3. We heard the tree that we were sitting under backed up to a tree line to it backed up to a slope of trees, and our friend Ellen kept hearing something behind us, and that was kind of freaking her out a little bit. But we never saw anything behind us, and never didn't like hear any wood knocks or anything like that. But so yeah, kind of makes us wonder. We think there was definitely 2, maybe 3. So.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. You guys were, here you guys are out exploring, and all of a sudden you guys come across you guys are starting to encounter what you guys are encountering, and it sounds like they were already watching you, or either that you happened to stumble across them in an area where they were trying not to be seen. You had the one that appeared to be a stump, and I from what I gather, in a lot of reports I've heard from others. Seems like that's usually what they try to do. They try to stay still, and I guess sometimes at some points they're like, "Crap, we got to get out of here." So right. Like you said, it stood up, and then the other ones are keeping an eye out or checking things out. It's like they were maybe watchers or something. Perhaps.
So later that night, the next day. We were talking to this gentleman who was a full-blooded Navajo Indian from Arizona, and he had some incredible stories. But we were kind of discussing and talking about what happened, and it was his idea for us to sit underneath that tree. And his idea was that the Bigfoot creatures were sitting under that tree watching us the nights before, and so. When we went, like, before the sunset, when we went, I think we kind of irritated them a little bit because, like, we were at a good spot to, like, see movement coming from base camp. And so, like, we kind of took their spot, and I think that's what agitated them a little bit. It's because they had been there before. So...
Okay, now this is happening in Pennsylvania, correct?
No, this one was actually in New Mexico.
In New Mexico. Okay.
New Mexico.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask, because you had mentioned something about Pennsylvania. That's why I was earlier, and I was wondering if all this was taking place in Pennsylvania, because I've spent a couple months in there several years ago, and I never encountered anything, but I found some very interesting things with my time up there, exploring up there. Because everything that you described, the behavior, the movement and everything, that's very commonly reported with a lot of cases and sightings where, especially the side-to-side movement. When you said that, because that reminded me of an encounter that I had along with 5 others during one of our expeditions. We experienced 3 subjects, and the smallest one, which we believe to be the juvenile, was the most active. Like, he was steadily swaying side to side. And then the tree peeking. That's another very common, reported trait too. Which it's like, to me, it's like they're curious, and that's what I've always gathered. They're very curious. They're trying to check things out. They want to know what's going on, like
Sure.
Who's this invading our land,
Right. So let me ask one quick question though. So the juvenile that you saw, were they able to, or did they not turn their head side to side like we do, or did they turn at the waist like the older, bigger creatures do?
Well, that's the thing. On the smallest subject, 2 out of the 3 subjects, all we saw were eye shine. On the tallest subject, the one we saw the shape of the head and the shoulders, and we saw a head movement. It turned its head and looked back at us after taking a step or two. In all 3 subjects, what we witnessed out of all 3 of them, they were blinking their eyes. But the small subject that was swaying side to side, the part where he was swaying from, we don't know if it was from the hips up or what. But that was something. But as far as watching it, seeing the eyes, because this happened after midnight, and we were actually coming back from the lake where we were at. We were on foot and on the forest road, headed back to our camp. And our camp, we had almost a mile hike back from camp when all this was taking place. So, and here we are. We're literally about a good 40 feet from what we're observing. And, excuse me, none of us were really feeling scared or nervous. We were actually quite excited about it. And, till we actually come to the realization, like, guys, I think we're looking at squatches right here. And, so it was very exciting what we went through. But yeah, as far as that was just one thing, that I have experienced.
So the reason that I was asking was I was on an expedition in Colorado in 2016, and what they did is they took a group to like 8,000. Like, we were camped out at like 6,000 feet elevation, and so they took a group at 8,000 feet, and then they took a second group at 10,000 feet, and I was part of the group at the 10,000 feet, and we were to make calls and wood knocks back and forth to each other to try to get something to happen, right? And I was up at the 10,000 group. I was up at the 10,000 feet group. Me, a father, and a daughter. The daughter was like 21. So it was just 3 of us. And they had never gone on an expedition or looked for Bigfoot before in their life, right? So they were brand new. And we had a heat therm device. And so like, we're up there, we're making calls. Well, I didn't so much. I was having them do it because I wanted them to like experience it and have fun and enjoy themselves, right? And so then I told the guy, I said, I'm gonna go up the road further. I said, use your heat therm to like look from side to side on the road to see if you see anything move. And I walked about like 300-400 yards, and then I got this like tightness in my chest and my throat, and it was like, don't come any further. I was like, all right, cool. So I stopped where I was, and I turned around and I went back, and the guy didn't see anything. And then he said, why don't all 3 of us walk up? And I said, sure. And then he told me that he could do samurai chatter. And he was like, should I do samurai chatter? And I said, sure. And so he does the samurai chatter, and he was phenomenal. Like, he was so good at it. And in about the same spot, all 3 of us stopped at the same time, and I got that same tightness, like that same feeling and that tightness in my chest and my throat, like, don't come any further. And the guy looks at me and says, something just crawled down my back. I don't want to go any further. And I was like, fair enough. So I radioed to the 8,000 group, and I said, we're coming back down. We'll see in a little bit. So we start walking back down, and like every like couple hundred yards, I would turn around and I would scan behind us with the heat therm to see if anything was moving or following us, right? So about, I don't know, like 1,000 yards or something like that. We've been walking for a bit, and I turn around and I'm looking, and then off to my left, I see head and shoulders of something small underneath a tree, and it reminded me of like a little kid waiting for their mom, and they're just like their head from side to side, just kind of like looking and waiting for them to show up, right? And I, and like my first initial reaction was like, is that a freaking alien? Right? Like that was my first reaction was like, wait, is that an alien? Right? And I was like, no, it can't be, right? And so I'm watching this thing, and it's literally, I mean, it reminded me of like a little kid like looking for its parent. And so I called the guy over, and I was like, hey, look at this. I was like, I just want to make sure that I'm just not seeing things, right? Because I wanted this confirmation. So it was like, oh my God, that's a Bigfoot. Oh my God. He's like starting to get really, really excited. And his daughter comes over, and his daughter's like pulling on his arm. She was like, let's go. And he, of course, at this point, like I wanted to walk towards it because I wanted to kind of like flush it out or see if he would see it move. But these two started freaking out so bad. So I was like, that's probably not a good idea. And he's like telling his daughter, he's like, we can't leave Solar behind. We can't leave him behind. And I'm like, all right, like you guys need to chill. Like, hold on, right? So they, so like I got the goggles back and I looked and it was still there. And then, then I was like, they were freaking out too bad. So by that time, the other group was like making their way up. So we like went down and I told them what happened. They called a Jeep. They took the daughter away. We went back and looked, and of course, by that time it was gone. And so we go back to base camp, and I tell the guy, I was like, don't leave until we process this, right? Like, let's talk tomorrow. Let's, talk about what happened and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, sure. I wake up the next morning, and the expedition leader comes to me, and he was like, they left. Like, what? He was like, 4 a.m, they packed up and they left. I was like, oh man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it kind of freaked him out a little bit.
Wow.
But
man.
So my point of that question was, because it was smaller, because it was younger and not so muscularly developed. I've always wondered if when they're younger, if they can turn their heads like we can, and then as they get stronger, more muscular, and they develop those muscles, then they have to turn at the torso,
the whole body,
in order to,
right?
Right?
Yeah,
so,
I understand exactly what you're saying. Well, I can't. I wish I could really kind of respond to that, but going back on another situation, which I was not a witness to, but my daughter. We were hiking in the woods, and she was much younger, and it was 3 of us, and we were actually staying at a regular campground that was the parkway, the part of the Blue Ridge Parkway was right there, and it was all woods surrounding the area, and there's been a lot of reports in surrounding areas, and there's actually a BIgfoot report not far off from where we were. Well, while we were hiking in the woods, like I said, she was several feet up ahead of me, and by the time I approached her, I walked up to her, and I just happened to look down at her face, and she was crying. And I said, what are you crying for? And she starts raising her hand, pointing. She said, it keeps looking at me. And I said, what? I'm looking, and I'm not seeing nothing. Right. But from what she described, she said, from the height and everything, it sounded like it was something, it had been a juvenile. I wish I saw what she saw, but I didn't. And she said it kept peeking out. She later on, after she calmed down, I kept her by my side when we kept, exploring, but from what she described, she said it was probably, from the height level she described, it was probably close to a little over 4 foot, but it kept peeking out behind the tree. And so I don't know. I believe she saw something, because after that incident, something up in the bushes up ahead of us, we saw some bushes shaking, and then apparently there was something there. But when we got up to the area, we didn't see nothing. I mean, we didn't see a deer, a bear, because there's a lot of bears in these neck of the woods, and tons of deer, but we didn't see nothing. If we saw a deer, we figured we would have saw the white tail fly up, while it took off. But, so I mean, I don't know. She definitely saw something, but just from what she described, it was like you were saying, side to side, peeking from behind a tree. Right. So I don't know. I wish I could have saw what she saw, because I had her do a drawing, based off of what she saw, and I mean, some drawings are close to what people see. And, I want to believe her description was pretty close. So, but I don't know. It was very interesting, But as far as hearing the head movement, looking side to side, I personally cannot recall. Unless we could definitely ask Zach and by the way, we do have Baltimore Galvan Jr. live with us as well. Baltimore, have you heard of anything like any descriptions where they've actually turned their heads?
Yes, I have. Mr. One of my eyewitnesses that actually passed away, I actually got his stories recorded, and he actually was in this coastal field. He was working on this house that was actually in a coastal field, and him and his friend were doing something on the roof, and he was sharpening a pencil, and he taps Mr. Abrigo and goes, "Hey, what's that?" And he sees something walking in the field, and then all of a sudden it stops and it looks at him, and once he looks at him, he started picking up speed and started swinging his arms, and after that the animal actually went into the creek, and they asked him. He goes, his friend asked him, "Hey, Felix, that's not human, is it?" And he goes, "Nope." He goes, "That's not human at all." And when he went to the creek, he goes, "Hey, you want to go after her?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Do you want to go after her?" He goes, "No." And he goes, so they both just did that. So that's the only one that I actually heard it actually turning its head.
Huh.
Interesting. What about you, Zach? You hear of anything where it turns its head?
Well, I'm trying to think. I've read a lot of reports that come out of the state of Illinois, and, there's so many of them, but I haven't heard no reports of them turning their heads. I believe they can turn their head from the Patterson film that I've seen where the Sasquatch that was being filmed turned its head, but it also turned its body. I think they can turn their head, just using that as an example, but they have a limited range of motion. Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There was actually another report that one of my the scientists went out there and actually was telling me about it. There was actually a hunter that was actually looking for. He was actually hunting, and he actually saw the animal, and he was going to side by side by these trees, and so he's looking at this thing, and what it was doing, the Bigfoot actually had his eyes set on these wild pigs. And it actually did a motion where he actually captured one and started pounding it. And he said you could actually hear the ribs to the hogs break. And he actually got the hog and actually got it. And I don't know if he put it over underneath his arm or over his shoulder. And he looked at where this hunter was at, and he did a motion from underneath his chin and one motion to the very top, and actually did a couple of whooping sounds, like he actually knew that there was somebody up there in that tree. So that's another story that I heard about movement of heads.
Huh. That's interesting.
Interesting. Okay. Well, there you have it. So, I'm glad they were able to share some input on that maybe might kind of, I don't know, shed some light on what you're looking into. Um, yeah. So, I mean, I wish I could have been more of help with anything, but that's I can only go based off of what I've experienced. So, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, just curious, have you ever done any Bigfooting here in Virginia? Of course, you are a resident of Virginia. I just wondered if you've ever had the opportunity to explore here to look for anything.
Yes. The answer would be yes. I we live about 20 minutes from Harper's Ferry, West Virginia.
Okay.
We're like, so we're like in the most northern point of Virginia without getting into Maryland.
Okay.
But and we actually, so where we live at, you have the Potomac River and you have the Sino Canal, and then you have the Appalachian Trail. So there's a lot of places for them to move. And when I was writing Spirit of Sasquatch, I would go down either to the Potomac River, or I would go to what I call my research area, or I would go to the Sino Canal, and I would walk the game trails. I wouldn't walk like the actual trails. I would walk the game trails, and I would put myself in the shoes of a Bigfoot creature, like the one in my book, or the brother, or the father, or the government. When I was walking through the woods, to like look through a different lens, right? And so one of the times I was on the Maryland side of the Potomac River by the Sino Canal, and that's when I found a track line in the mud. And then I looked across the river to the Virginia side, and I was like, oh, I wonder where that's at, because I just had this thought or this feeling that the creature had come across the river, because at that point where the river is, it's probably like waist deep for me. So for them, it would be like, thigh deep, right? And so I looked on Google Maps, and I found the part that I was looking for, and I actually came to find out it's actually an abandoned park that no one uses anymore. So it's just this like tract of land that's owned by the Park Services, but they don't do anything with it. And so I found that area. I found how to get there, and would like in that area. I got screamed at one morning, and
oh wow,
one morning I found a print on a rock, like a muddy footprint on a rock. This is probably about 3 months after I found the track line on the Maryland side. I mean, that's about as much as I've done in Virginia. I haven't been to George Washington National Forest. I would love to, but I just haven't had an opportunity yet. So I'm looking forward to meeting up with you in July to see that area.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I'm very actually, to be honest with you, I'm not going to say very, but I'm well familiar, or I guess pretty much familiar where that general area is where you're talking about. And because actually up along that way, I know I had picked up an individual that was wanting to go to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, and we had picked him up to bring him out there. We met him up in that general area, and I've actually have heard of other stories of sightings in that area. Now, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't 522 run out that way somewhere or connects out to Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I do believe I have been in that area before, and because I have, when we picked up this individual, we did cross the Potomac, if I'm not mistaken, and that may have been very close to where you were. So,
that's probably
interesting.
That's probably about like 20 minutes from my house. Yeah, 20 30 minutes. Yeah. So, It's pretty close. I mean, it's very wooded. I know a lady that lives down the street. She's had some mountain lion sightings. So and where we live, we've had bear sightings. I've come across some coyotes. We think we found some big cat tracks in our yard one morning a few years back. But so I mean, it's
And for the record, I do believe you probably did, because you know what? You tell the game warden that, and they're gonna no, that ain't what you're seeing.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually seen a big black cat in the national forest across the road on me one day, and I mean, I knew what I saw. And if you go, there's actually a public site that somebody created. It's not from the game department, because the game department won't have no such thing. But there's actually a couple different counties. Well, there's a few different counties in there, but Augusta and Rockingham County have a lot of eyewitness reports, and then I want to say Nelson County is the other one too, because I've actually gathered a lot of reports from cat sightings based off of a blog that I put out, and I've shared it in a lot of the Virginia deer hunting groups on Facebook and stuff like that, and I've actually had a lot of reports. Then again, you had a couple of idiots that wanted to laugh and just make joke about it, because they're the ones that believe if the game warden says so, that they're the ones that go along with it anyway.
Right.
So
sure.
But yeah, I believe without doubt that's probably what they were. I'm pretty sure that's what they were. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so many strange things in the woods.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. There was something else I was going to ask you, and I lost my train of thought. It'll probably come back to me here. Baldmar and Zach, do one of you guys have any questions for Solar?
Let me ask you this: when you first saw your Bigfoot, what do you think? What do you think that it was? Did you have any doubts, or exactly what you were looking at, or did certain things come to mind, trying to figure out, or did you actually, when you first saw it, did you actually think this is exactly what it was?
Well, so my sighting in New Mexico, what I saw, peeking from behind the tree and whatever was walking in the woods, I honestly thought that whatever was walking in the woods was two tree trunks walking in the woods. So if at the time, if someone told me that we were living in if we were living in Middle Earth and trees could actually walk, that's what I was thinking, because I was like, holy crap, are those tree trunks like walking? So
right.
It kind of threw me for a loop. But then after talking to my wife and really hearing what she saw, then I was just like, I started to kind of piece it all together. And then my sighting in Colorado, like I said, I honestly thought it was an alien at first. It's just like,
right.
because it didn't throw me for a loop, but this is stuff that I talk to my friends about, other researchers and my wife and stuff. It's just like we almost have to train our brains to see what we see, because we're so disconnected from nature, and it's so we're not used to seeing what's in nature, and so you need to spend a lot of time in nature in order to get your mind and your brain associated with what you're seeing. And so when you see something, it kind of takes a second of wait, am I really seeing what I'm seeing?
Exactly.
Exactly. When I was writing my book and I was on this game trail and I was walking and I saw a big stump, probably 200 yards up in front of me, and I swear it moved. I swear that this tree trunk moved, and I froze, and I was thinking to myself like, holy crap, like. I mean, I know my wife knows where I'm at, but like, I was like, I was by myself, and I was just like, did that thing just move? And I took pictures, and I looked at the pictures before I moved forward to see if I could like see what it was, and then I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that's a tree trunk, and so then I, so I got the courage up and I walked up ahead, and sure enough, it was a tree trunk. But the cool thing about the tree trunk though was there was 3 balls shoved into the tree trunk.
Wow.
And that was kind of weird. I was just like, wait a second. I mean, it was probably like 50 yards from the river, and the Potomac River does get high, but so I'm like, I mean, I guess it's possible that the river could have shoved those balls into the tree trunk, but
right.
it's like, this is kind of weird. This is kind of curious, but I was just
wow.
like, but it's that thing of like, sometimes your mind kind of plays tricks with you. You have to like stop and like really pay attention and really watch to be like, did I,
right.
So.
Right. Yeah. So the reason why I asked that question was when I actually saw mine. First of all, stuff started coming to my head. But it's not a deer. It's not a cow, it's not a donkey, man, look at this thing in 2 legs tall, and, never in my, and then I was trying to figure out, in my head, because I knew everything that there is about nature. It's not a big cat standing on his leg, and it's on 2 legs. And this thing was maybe around 40 yards, no further than 50, and I'm just looking at it. And I'm going, and my mind still couldn't fathom me. He goes, what in the world? Because I never heard of Bigfoot being in South Texas. I never have.
Right.
And they always told us about coming back into the woods. Don't go past dark, everything like that. So when I actually saw mine, a lot of doubts.
Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So that's okay. And so I was trying to figure out, because there's sometimes, when you see that, the very first thing you start doing is downing yourself, saying, did I actually physically see that?
Right.
So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or like, so this one time in that same neck of woods that I was at, so something that I've discovered for myself is when I go out in the woods and if I put my intention out there of like, I would like to experience something, I would like to hear something, see something, I just put it out there, right? And then I just go with like an open, curious mind. And this one morning, it was probably like 6:37 in the morning, and I know no one else was down there. And I didn't see anything, didn't feel anything, and then I was like 100 yards from my truck, and then something screamed at me, and it was just like feeling inside my body of like, oh, okay, I guess you're there, but it was it was just kind of like, whoa, all right,
wow,
but, yeah, that was kind of a cool experience because like I didn't see anything, right, but it was definitely vocal, and, I mean, sure. And, it could have been a mountain lion, but I'm really thinking it wasn't, because it didn't have like that type of sound to it. When things happen, like I think it's human nature for us to kind of doubt ourselves at first,
right.
And, and kind of like go through that process of like, okay, what was that? What did I really see? What did I really hear? Am I like wanting this so bad that I'm going to say that this is what it is? So
yeah,
I just think that's human nature.
Absolutely. I could actually relate to what you're talking about because ever since our encounter, and I've had other incidents, when I was by myself, but that one particular one that happened back in 2014 with all 6 of us. Like I said, even after we got back to camp, we kept trying to debunk that situation. We really did. We went back the next day to that very same spot. and we did a hike, a hike comparison. And, and after trying to rule everything out, there's nothing else it could have been, really. And, we had night vision with us. But, the thing is, we didn't think about, me and Tracy Arnold both had them in our backpacks. But we didn't think about it. It didn't get brought up till we got back to camp. Which we were kicking ourselves in the butt for not pulling it out where we could have had a beautiful look. Because, like I said, we were a good 40-something feet away. And we could have had the perfect image of them right then and there. Both, we could have. But, the thing is, the image, our devices that we had weren't capable of recording or anything. But, so again, we tried to debunk the whole thing. But now, ever since then, I'm looking back at everything else I'm experiencing in there, everything that we hear, the things that I find. So there's no doubt they were Sasquatches. We believe it was a family, but there was no doubt in our mind that was Sasquatches. Especially making out the silhouette of the tallest one that had the big round head. You could see bulky round, wide shoulders. And then I found some nice massive tracks in, in not far from that spot, that's, around the corner. But, so, just in that general area, and finding the things that I have found in there and experienced in there. And the deer, if they are eating deer, they got plenty of to choose from. The turkeys go in there, they have plenty to choose from. Turkeys, deer, every known animal that goes in there. I've had bobcats on my trail cameras I picked up on there walking the creek line, the stream bed and all that. And so, everything there, all the sources are there. Plenty of vegetation, plenty of thickness for them to hide in there. And looking back to that day, everything that I've experienced, everything that I found, everything points towards that being real. What we saw. We weren't seeing things. We knew what we were seeing. So, but there's an experience we'll never forget, so.
Right.
I would love to have a daytime sighting. I really would, I've had other incidents where I've seen things, during the daytime, but it was too inconclusive to really say that's what it was. But the events that followed after having seen that made me think otherwise. Like maybe that was something there, and maybe there was others there that I wasn't aware of. After having a rock thrown at you, a large rock, and hearing a whoop after going so far up the trail, that's a story I've shared multiple times. But so there's a lot of little things that a lot of us could look back on that if there's pieces of this puzzle that we could put back for our own sake. That's, that supports what we've experienced in the past, or or whatever, how you want to look at it, so.
Right.
So I tell you what, guys, I want to get ready to go into, we're going to take about a 2-minute break here, but I want to, again, I want to make this announcement. I did make an announcement that tonight, people have a chance to win 2 free tickets tonight. Well, we have actually 2 trivia questions. We didn't even ask the first one, did we, Zach?
Nope, we didn't.
Okay, well, this is what we're going to do then. We're going to ask both of them. We're going to ask one at a time. Right now, we'll ask them one. I think we're going to, because I got a real good one from Jen, but we're going to see if we get a response off of yours first, Zach. And what we're going to do, I'm going to announce the number before Zach actually asks the question. All right. So be sure to write this number down, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening, you have a chance to win 2 free tickets. All right. The call-in number is area code 657-383-1713. Again, the call-in number is 657-383-1713. And Zach is going to ask the first trivia question, and we're going to go into a 2-minute break right after he asks the question. And when we get back, we'll be taking call-ins for that trivia question. And then, so go ahead, Zach. How about you go ahead and ask that question?
All right, folks. Well, here's a brain picker for you. And remember, this is for tickets for the conference at the end of this month. So here's your question. According to BFRO, what state ranked number 2 and most Bigfoot sightings for last year. We'll see you after the break.
All right, there you go. And we'll the call-in number is 657-383-1713. So get your answer, call in. First one with the correct answer wins 2 free tickets. We'll be back in about 2.5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Squatch Radio. Zach, repeat the question one more time, Zach, for the listeners.
Okay, so here's your repeat, guys, and listen close. What state ranked number 2 according to BFRO for the year of 2017 in most Bigfoot reports? Call in with your answers, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Plus, I have the answer written down, too, so because I've had somebody already try to guess on the live chat, and I told them they got to call in to win. So, again, the call-in number is area code 657-383-1713. We will hold off on the next question. Well, what do you guys think? You guys think I should throw the next question out? Or that way they'll have 2 questions that have a chance to win on either one?
It's your show, bud.
I want to try to make it fair for everybody. Hold on, I'm trying to find it. Jen Cruz is the one that gave me the first question here. I'm trying to. Here it is. Oh, it's a very simple question, and well, all right. So you'll have a chance to answer either question, which is going to be make it more fair. So here's another question. If you're listening, the other question is, what primate has the longest arms? So there you go. What primate has the longest arms? And so you have two questions, two trivia questions that are thrown out there. And if you can't find the answer to one, find the other. And so then we'll go from there. And again, in order to win, you must call in to claim your prize. You will win 2 free tickets to the ECBRO First Annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. So we are taking call-ins right now. So we'll see. All right. Well, meanwhile, I'll be watching the lines. We'll get back into the show here. And so if we get any calls, I will jump right on that. And meanwhile, Ernest, here's one thing. There's a few questions some of us like to ask. We always try to get everybody's opinion on the subject of Bigfoot. On your take, just based off of your observations and your belief, what do you believe Bigfoot to be? As far as I'm concerned, there's no wrong answers.
That's a good question. So I guess my answer would be twofold. I do believe it's a flesh and blood creature.
Amen.
I do think that it leans more towards. I don't want to say like the missing link because the human evolutional tree is more of a bush. So it's like I don't believe one thing happens and then another thing happens. It kind of all happens simultaneously. So, I do think it's probably more human than it is animal. But I am also a big believer in Native American lore and Native American beliefs. And I do think that there is something to their belief that it is a spirit creature that can take physical form. There's too many stories out there that dismiss that, there's too many stories out there of them being a spiritual creature that can take physical form that right. I don't think should be dismissed. It could be this thing of because we're disconnected from nature and we see something and we don't really understand what we see, so we put it into the paranormal realm. Right. But but I do think that it's a physical creature, and I'm not necessarily saying that it has special magical abilities, but I think there's aspects to the creature that we don't understand because we're disconnected from the world, we're disconnected from nature, and I do think that the Native American tribes had more knowledge, had a better understanding, and they were deeply connected to the earth. They were deeply connected to the land, and they believed in spirit animals. And so I think there's something to it, and I think it's something that we shouldn't ignore.
Right. So. And Jen Cruz said, "Whoop, love that he is in the native stories about Bigfoot."
Amen. Yeah.
Very awesome. Well, yeah, I agree with you there because the thing is, I know there is some people out there who will swear they'll tell you what Bigfoot is, and they self-proclaim it as facts. Where I believe there is no facts, there is possibilities that we should keep open to proven otherwise. Even with some of the theories and everything that's out there, which pretty much 99% of them are theories, really. I mean, we could look at it and all make our speculation on it and kind of go from there. But I have my belief in what it is and what it could be, but that doesn't mean that's what it is. So yeah, I mean, I believe we should keep an open mind to all these different possibilities. Until as much as a lot of people hate hearing this, but even science will tell you that they need a body, and anybody that's understands science and everything will understand that you need a specimen to compare. Especially we have all these alleged pieces of DNA or evidence, and thing is they're not getting nowhere with what they do got. Although some claim that some of these alleged pieces of DNA have come back as some kind of primate, but not human. And then again, you hear other stories. I don't know what to believe because it hasn't been, you can't prove it either one way or another because you need something to compare it to, So
I mean, I think our society is very quick to jump on conspiracy theories, right?
Right.
So
yes.
I just want to put that out there first off, right? But there have been many species of animals, humans, whatever, that have been identified by a partial jawbone, or so there is enough qualitative data to show that Sasquatch is real. There's enough hard evidence in the footprints alone to show that they exist. So there's some reason why the scientific community isn't taking it serious, and I think it kind of puts a little pressure on us amateur researchers to actually take it serious and
right.
and not make a joke out of it, and to look at all the possibilities, because for whatever reason the academic scientific community isn't taking it serious. And I'm not saying it's because of a government cover-up, but a lot of people don't want to touch this subject when it comes to biologists or zoologists or anthropologists. They don't want to touch it, and I'm always curious on why. Because there's decades and decades of evidence, and there's other animals have been identified to be real by partial bones or partial prints, so it just makes me curious of why is that happening with this particular creature?
Well, I'm gonna interrupt you real quick, and I'm gonna tell you, sure. One of our other speakers, I've had several phone call discussions with him. I mean, we're talking usually they average 2 hours at a time, and I think you and him would really have a great discussion. For example, Darby Orcutt, he is on he's on the education staff down at North Carolina State University, and with just a lot what he shares and what he's working on and the project that he's involved with. I think based off of what you just said right there, I think he would have a lot to share with you, because he agrees that science is they're very skeptical about even getting involved with this for a number of reasons. But with to kind of give you a brief rundown with what he's involved with is basically science accepting the evidence that is before us, but accepting it through protocol, and where mainstream science will start start accepting what we have, and or at least for consideration. And and the project that he's involved with, it actually involved the late Dr. John Bindernagel, and then I don't know if it's he didn't tell me not to say it, but I will share it anyway, which is interesting because his project involves primatologists and other biologists as well. And so, that's what I'm saying with what he has shared with me and the knowledge that he is holding. I think you and him would really, get into a good discussion, and, especially being both educational, individuals that you guys would have a lot to share with each other.
Sure.
So, but of course you'll get to meet him here in a couple of weeks, and so I'm actually interested in what he's going to present I don't know what he'll get into, but as far as the way he just he explained and discussed with me about the protocol with science accepting evidence, I kind of hope I'm hoping he does touch base with that, and I think that will be a good part of it, a good lecture for him to share.
Right. So, sure. Very cool.
But absolutely. Real quick, I noticed on the live chat, for those who know Nikki Cologne, Nikki, I know you're listening. Of all people, Nikki, I'm surprised you haven't called in with an answer. Nikki is she's like a walking digest, walking encyclopedia, and she knows a lot of stuff. She's a resident down in Texas, and actually, I think she used to live in New Mexico, but she's a resident in Texas right now. So, her and her husband live down there. So, but Nikki, why don't you call in? I know you know the answer to one of our trivia questions. So, Zach, why don't you repeat yours again?
Okay, everybody, here's your question again. According to BFRO, what state ranked number 2 in the most reported Bigfoot sightings in 2017?
All right. And the other question is, what primate has the longest arms? And in order to win 2 free tickets to this event, you must call in and not throw your answer on the live chat. The call-in number is 657-383-1713. So there you go. And Nikki, I know you're not shy to call in. You used to come on these shows all the time. So there you go. We repeated the questions. It's out there. First one to call in with a correct answer will win 2 free tickets. So, if you don't want to win them, if you know somebody that wants to attend, call in to win the tickets for them. So, Baltimore, Zach, do you guys have any questions for Ernest that you want to share?
Nope. I got one. I'm sorry, Zach. Okay. Go ahead.
No, he said nope.
I ain't got any, Baltimore. You go ahead and take it. If there's any that pop up, I'll ask them.
Okay.
Okay. I got one. When I had an experience, and I know that it was a Bigfoot experience, and I actually had a few of them down this one certain area, and I was actually afraid to go into this area by myself. To this day, I am afraid to go into this area by myself.
Sure.
Have you ever had any fears like that? Do you have to bring somebody with you? Have you ever had any fears of going to the areas that you actually have experienced a Bigfoot in?
So the only time I can say that I've really been afraid like that was when I was in Colorado, when I was on an expedition in Colorado. And that was, again, it was like this, like that one night when I saw what I thought was an alien or a juvenile Sasquatch, whatever it may be. I got, this sensation or this feeling of like, don't come any further. Like, you've come far enough. I don't want you to come any further. There is, now that I think about it a little bit more, there is a place near my house that my wife and I call the Dark Woods. And we don't like to walk through the woods because it's creepy. But it's just like it's this large section of woods that's like, no, don't come in here. Like, I don't want you in here. We don't want you in here. And so we tend to stay away from that area. Yeah, I mean, I've never really had like a fear like that of, well, I mean, except for those like dark woods. I mean, like that's probably the closest thing to what you're experiencing that I've experienced. So, I mean, you know, I think it's a respect thing. Like, you kind of like respect
Right.
it, like, you know, like, all right, I got you. I'm not coming in there. You know,
Yeah.
So.
See, that's the thing also too is when I always talk about here in the show about the experience that I had with the deep breathing sounds down this creek, and thing came to my mind, and I don't know why it came to my mind. It was like, how do you feel like somebody's hunting you, like
Right.
something out of the ordinary, you know, out of the blue. This actually came to my head.
Right.
And less than 10, 15 seconds later, I was down this tree and went home.
Yeah.
And but it was kind of it's to me it's like a respect thing.
Sure.
I know
Yeah,
where they're
definitely.
at. Nobody goes there. It's a privately owned land, and landowners don't want nobody in there. There's places in there that people haven't been in there for hundreds of years, and there's some areas that are so dark, that is so overgrown with grapevines and everything like that. You go in there, and just that feeling that you get, like all these eyes are just staring at you, and so that's basically the sign, you know, hey, you need to get out of here.
Right.
You know, there's some areas that where I don't go. Period. I don't. People will pay me. I don't care if they pay me $1,000. Hey, Mr. Galvan, go down over there and go do this. No. I will not, especially down these areas. Y'all were talking about scientists earlier. I had a friend of mine that's actually a scientist, and I actually told him, he goes about Bigfoot and everything. He looks at me, and if I could prove to this man that Bigfoot is real, you know, here in South Texas, you know, it would mean a lot. And then he went up there and I asked him about Bigfoot. And he comes up and he tells me, he goes, Baldy, he goes, let me tell you something. This is my philosophy. In order for you to prove that Bigfoot is real, is prove that he's not. And I will never forget that. So, and then here I am. Yeah, so here I am going into places and talking to people and listen to these experiences. And I'm going, how can you not believe that Bigfoot is real if people have actually went up there and where the animal has been 30, 40 feet away from them? And,
right.
And these are credible people, and they've seen them like 30, 40, even the 1920s.
Right.
And then so these people here, they actually, well, the thing is, if it's not real, what are they seeing?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, gentlemen, we got a call. We're going to go ahead and take this call right now. Caller with area code 304. You're live on Squatch on Radio. Are you here to answer one of the trivia questions?
Yeah, the one for the primate arm length, gibbons.
You are correct. And who do we have on the line with us?
Rose Dickens.
Rose Dickens, how are you doing?
Good.
Rose, you already have tickets.
Well, I've got some friends that didn't want to buy tickets, and I'm going to try to talk them into making it a girls thing, just add 2 more to our little trip.
There you go. Now you got to tell them you got 2 extra tickets. They need to come. So, awesome. Rose Dickens, ladies and gentlemen, is the winner to the second question. Gibbons is the correct answer.
Yay!
Gibbons have the longest arms in the primate world. So, there you go.
You learn something new every day.
So, Rose, how long did it take you to Google that?
Hey, Google's our friend.
What's that?
I said Google is our friend.
Yes, I love Google. Very awesome. So are you enjoying the show tonight?
Yeah, I'm learning a lot.
Awesome. Well, while you're live with us right now, do you have any questions or anything you want to throw out there for our guest, Ernest Solar?
The pressure.
That put me on the spot, and I can't think right now.
Oh no.
That's okay. I won't be offended.
Are the has anybody used those tack lights to try to see better whenever they're seeing the eyes and stuff? I know that you all forgot to get your night vision goggles at one time, but I'm just wondering how they react if you shine light. Do they do like the camera clicks and just take off?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a good question.
I think she's directing that towards. Is that towards Ernest or anybody in general?
Anybody.
Okay. Baltimore, you want to take a whack at that one?
That one I cannot answer. That one I cannot answer about any eyes or anything like that, or lights or nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, I've only talked to people dealing with some old timers with lanterns, and actually saw something with eye shine, and then the eye shine was there for a second, and the animal just took off. But it was in the same area, like 2 or 3 nights in a row. So this was in the 1940s and 1950s. So eye shine, very little.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, based off of the experience that we've had back in 2014, of course, everything took place right after midnight, and these 3 subjects were very, what we believe, were very curious. And the thing is, they were staring right at us, and we were seeing their eyes shine very clear. I mean, large, bright yellow, glowing-looking eyes. And they kept blinking their eyes because perhaps our lights were a little bright. But the thing is, they didn't disappear. I don't know, something about them. I mean, I don't know what their business there for that particular moment and that where they were. They could have been just passing through. They could have been hunting deer. Just prior to that situation, where before we encountered them, we did see deer on the other side of the forest road as we were working our way up to that location. But when we saw what we were seeing, they didn't really, they weren't in no hurry to take off. Other incidents I've heard where, they've been caught in the headlights, where they might look for a brief moment and then they, a lot of times they keep running, they keep booking it. But yeah, as far as their reaction to, lights and stuff like that, they may be curious to it, or they may sometimes I don't know, they may just not want nothing to do with it and try to stay away or stay out of it. So, but yeah, that's a good question. So, so there you go. You have anything else you want to share with us, Rose?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for the tickets.
All right. No, congratulations, and thank you for calling in to respond to that question. We still have one more question out there, and it's the one that Zach asked. So anybody else, you still have a chance to win 2 free tickets. So Rose Dickens won the first set of tickets. So again, congratulations. And Rose, everybody that's on the panel tonight, including our guests, you'll be able to meet every single one of us here in a couple of weeks. So so that's
Looking
awesome.
Forward to it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, continue listening in, and we're gonna keep our eyes open. We have 20 minutes left. So you have, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, you have 20 minutes left to respond to the next question to win 2 free tickets. And meanwhile, continue with our discussion. And we do have another question for Ernest, and that is coming from Jen Cruz. Her question is, what kind of equipment does Ernest Solar like to use when looking for Bigfoot, both day and nighttime?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah, nothing. I was chatting with my dad about a year ago, or maybe it's 2 years ago at this point. But my dad's like, "So when you go out in the woods and you're looking for Bigfoot, do you bring anything with you?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I have a walking stick." He's like, you don't have a gun?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "You are the bravest man I've ever met." I was like, "Really, Dad? It's not that big of a deal." But no, I mean, sometimes I bring my camera so that I can take pictures of nature, of what I see. I honestly never expect to capture a Bigfoot on camera, because I think that's pretty much impossible. But if I come across a print or something, I usually have my cell phone with me in case something happens and I need to be rescued or something. I had a bad experience about 5 years ago where I got injured in the woods, and I had to crawl my way out of the woods until I could find help. So I bring my cell phone now. But I mean, pretty much my cell phone. I usually don't have anything else. So I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I've always been a big believer in my intention, and I just want to be a part of the environment. I just want to be a part of nature, see what I can experience. Now, of course, because I've gone on some BIgfoot expeditions, they have so much equipment, and when you go out on expeditions with them, they give you, night vision or heat therms and stuff like that. And so, sure, I'll use them. I'm not against them, but when I'm on my own, it's usually just camera, walking stick, if that. So.
Yeah. Do you ever believe in setting out trail cameras by any chance?
No. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I mean, so parts of the woods that I've gone to, I've found trail cams. I've found microphones that have been set up by like the park authority or park rangers and stuff like that. And so if I can find them, if I can see them, I'm pretty sure Bigfoot can. And
right.
Because I mean, they're so in touch with their world and nature that they're going to sense if something is different, if something has changed. And I mean, I honestly believe that they know we're in the woods the minute we step into the woods. Like, they either smell us, they hear us, they see us, they sense us, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure they're going to know where I put a trail cam at. So it's just not something I've ever thought would be beneficial for me to use. I mean, I'm not against them being used. I just don't think I'm going to find what I want to find with them. So I don't bother with them. So.
Well, what you said makes a lot of sense. It's like you leaving your house door unlocked, and I just walk in like, okay, well, you might know who I am, but like, I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb because I'm there unannounced.
Right. Exactly.
Or a total stranger for you. It doesn't have to be me. Or
the thing is, like, perfect example. If you leave your house and if you left your door unlocked and then you come back into your house, and the minute you walk into your house, you kind of get a sense if someone's been there, if someone's moved something, if something is different in your own house. Right.
Exactly.
Right. So I mean, thing, like the minute you step into the woods, they kind of know. And I'm pretty sure every other animal knows.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's animals who don't care. Like, I'm sure the squirrels don't care. I'm sure the deer might care because they're like, oh crap, this guy probably has a gun, and so they're going to be a little skittish. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that nature senses you and knows the minute you step into the woods, and so
definitely.
Yeah, so my intention is I just want to be here. I just want to be a part of this world. I want to, and if you want to let me experience something, that's great, because that's a gift for me. If not, all right, I got to hang out in nature for a bit, so that can't be a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
On the,
I just
go
wanted to
ahead,
share.
Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah, it was this. I believe it was last weekend, and I'm not going to give my location after I was at. And I was out there, and I smelled a strong smell, a smell that I was used to smelling, and pretty close to this house. And I said, all right, Vito Feo's here close by. And then all of a sudden I heard a whistle. And I did a small little whistle back.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I heard a sound that resembled what I heard hundreds of times, a sound of a cow. And I'm going, all right. And I said, all right, so I know that you're close by, and because on this certain area that they actually throw throw like rotten tomatoes over the fence, and they actually have a garden. They actually throw like rotten squash over the fence and everything like that. And I'm going, okay, so you're basically after whatever this person's thrown over your fence, over this fence. So I just went back in the house and just kept on with my business. And so it's like you said, it's like in the woods. I mean, because there's a certain locations real about close to the woods, and they would actually know when the door slams or when you get in your vehicle and take off. Right. And then so that's when they're more comfortable on them coming in there. Right. Even the dogs are there. Even when the dog is barking, and I would always know that it's always out there, because this certain dog does not leave that porch. He is so terrified of leaving that porch. Right. So I'm going, all right. They go, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Just stay up here. Nothing's going to bother you. So that's the way that I know. And then so I'm going like this. I'm not going to go down over there the following morning, to go find evidence to making sure that it was there. I already know he's there. So, and then so again, it is a respect issue. It's so that's why it stays around there longer. I kind of feel that if you go after it, or you go up, if you go after it, or make it uncomfortable, then I believe that it will leave the area for a little while until it's ready for it to come back again.
Right.
So.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, we have time for one more question, and the question is coming from on the live chat. User it's coming from Flycatch. Yeah, the name user Flycatch. He wants me to ask you, Ernest, about your footprint you found. If you want to go into detail about any footprint and tracks you found, mainly like if you could give us size and what you thought about. If you want to talk about that.
Sure. So the one that I found in Maryland, if I remember correctly, that was about 15 inches, and the one in Virginia was, I think it was 14 inches. So they weren't really large prints, but the one that I found in the mud, that one was actually part of a track line, and there was a creek that was running from the canal into the river, and somebody or something put railroad ties down to block the creek to create like a pool. And then that's where I found this track line, and this was probably like 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, so it was pretty early, and found this really cool print. I actually, when I go to book signings, I actually bring this picture because it always generates lots of curiosity. But the cool thing about this print, though, is when I was doing research for my book, I met with a tracker, and I stayed and I hung out with this professional tracker for like 8 hours, And I picked his brain about tracking because one of my characters is a tracker, and so I wanted it to be authentic. And then I said to him, I said, I'm going to show you some pictures and of prints that I've found, like deer, raccoon, dog, cat, whatever. And I just want you to tell me what they are just for my own knowledge. And I threw that picture of this print in there. And he went through and he's like telling me everything. And he gets to that picture and he says, I don't know what that is. He's like, it's not human and it's not bear. He's like, I don't know what that is. You send it.
Oh, wow.
And I sent it to him. And this is a gentleman that has like 20 years experience of looking for people, right? So I'm confident he knows what he's talking about. And he looked at it for a couple of weeks and he came back and he was like, I really don't know what this is. He was like, where'd you find this? And I told him and he was like, yeah, he was like, I don't know what that is. So, that was really kind of exciting. So in my reality, it's definitely a print.
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting.
Yeah. I and to be honest, I don't try to cast prints because I suck at it. So I'm just like, hey, cool. I'll take pictures. I'll measure it. And then I go about my day. But the couple of times I've tried to like cast something, it never works out. So,
well, I'm sure it's safe to say you make pancakes before, right?
Yeah, but pancakes, yeah, you can make pancakes and still eat them.
Well, yeah. Well, the batter consistency, the thickness, and the way it runs is basically it's kind of almost the same concept of when you're adding the water to the plaster. You don't want it too runny, but you don't want it real thick. You want it to be up to pour. Usually they take 45 minutes to an hour to set up, depending on temperature. But yeah, the more you do it, the better you get. It takes practice. Good thing to do is get the kids out in the yard, and step in, practice like that. One thing to do that would actually be a good idea because I need to do one again. I've done one on my own foot a long time ago. I made it for a comparison, and I also like to collect bear tracks too. If I can cast a good bear track, I will cast a bear track because I like to add them into my collection so I could if I come across other tracks that are looking a little odd, I can compare, because I love to get very familiar with bear tracks. That's me. I don't know what it is, but I love finding bear tracks.
That's cool.
But yeah, your 13 to 15 inch track. To be honest with you, a lot of the tracks I have ever found out in the national forest, most of them do average up to 15 inches, and I have found them bigger, but 15 inches is an average. 13 to 15 inches. Okay. So cool. That's why So that sounds, very believable. Some people are like, oh, the larger you find, no, that can't be real. You will find larger ones, but yeah, 15, 16 inches, that's about right according to, my opinion, So,
sure. Well,
absolutely.
Well, I think on the East Coast, I think they're smaller too.
Yeah.
So,
then again, depends on who you talk to here on the East Coast.
So, yeah.
We won't get into that, but because Zach and Baltimore know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, oh man. Well, I'll tell you what. We're down to the last 5.5 minutes. A little over 6 minutes. Tell you what, I'm going to leave this last little bit. Do you have anything you want to share with us? And if people want to look up information on you and learn more about you before the event comes up, is there anywhere you could direct them to?
Sure. Because I don't really put a lot of my Bigfoot research out there.
Right.
But I'm on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook. I have a Spirit of Sasquatch Facebook page. That's probably where I put most of my Bigfoot related pictures up. Would be on the Spirit of Sasquatch page. If they want a copy of my book, it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. There's a Kindle edition, and then there's a paperback edition. or they can contact me directly if they want an autographed copy. I'm more than happy to take care of that as well.
Or they could wait till June 30th and July 1st to come out and buy one autograph from me.
They could do that too. They could wait to come to the conference. So
there you go. So Zach and Valdemar, do you have anything you want to share with Ernest before we jump off?
I'll tell you what, Zach, go ahead and go first.
All right. Well, yeah, especially go ahead, check out with the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters team with our team page on Facebook and all of that. Also check out, I'm going to plug this one, Yellow Rose Natural Products. That's my mom's new little business that she's trying to jumpstart. She'll be there at the ECBRO conference at the end of this month selling her wares. And it's all natural soaps and beard balms and oils and bath bombs, facial stuff, and all that good stuff. And all that, some wood crafts. She'll be there selling that. Well, of course, Daniel already plugged the conference, but I got my own conference coming up July 27th in Crab Orchard, Illinois. The doors open up at 6 o'clock. It's free to the public. We have a meet and greet, a seminar, and then in the last half hour we'll have a Q&A. It's free to the public. Like I said, come on out and meet me and get your picture took with me and Mojo, my Bigfoot I've got. And just come on out. It's a town hall meeting, so everybody's welcome, and you can come out and share your encounter, and don't worry about getting judged with this one.
All right, very cool, very cool. All right. And do you have any last questions or anything for Ernest?
Nope.
All right.
Very cool.
And what about you, Bob?
Basic, if you notice that, if something pops up, I ask right away.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. All right.
Ernest,
and
thank you very much for being on the show. Yeah, Ernest, thank you very much for being on the show. I love your stories. Your stories are just fascinating, and that is what this Bigfoot conference is all about. Is for helping people out, learning about Bigfoot and not being afraid to go tell your stories and the best thing to do is just have fun with it. I love the way that you, I love the way that you do nature, because I do the same thing. I take my camera once in a while. I take my 45 with me just in case of, protection for wild hogs and things like that.
Right.
It's always good to know that you respect nature and respect the Native American community and everything. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you at the conference. So you sound like a very interesting person, a person who I really would like to meet. So
thank you, sir.
So
appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Just keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it has been a pleasure, Daniel, Baltimore, Zach, to be on the show, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. And I myself, I really appreciate you coming on here, and it was great meeting you. I'll be, looking forward to meeting you, seeing you again, and conversating, and you're a real genuine guy. I love your approach on, how you presented everything, and it was real good. And I know we all appreciate it. And for those who may have missed this episode or any other past episodes, they could go through the archives of the episodes on Squatch Zone Radio right here on Blog Talk Radio. Also, they could subscribe to the YouTube channel Bigfoot Zone with ECBRO in parentheses. And a lot of the episodes will get uploaded there eventually. I have some on there as of now. So definitely check out YouTube channel Bigfoot Zone, and find us on Facebook. Like our ECBRO First Annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference page, share it, and come on out to meet all these fine gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, because we got a great lineup, and they all have a lot to share. So, meanwhile, this is Daniel Benoit, founder of the ECBRO and host of Squatch Zone Radio, and we are getting ready to go off air now. So, gentlemen, you guys have a good night, and we'll be we'll be in touch later. So, all right.
Sounds good.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Night.
Night, everybody.
Night.